Hi, hello, this is Roger in Finland, and today we're going to be testing picture profiles in the Sony a6400 for using in black and white. That is a very fair question, especially if the assumption is that we're just going to start from desaturating and work from there, but that's not what we're planning to do. Shooting in color will still provide good information because we can use the curves in DaVinci Resolve, specifically hue versus luminance. And that curve allows you to change the luminance of different colors in the scene. So if you have something which is red and it was too bright to start from, you can get that luminance down. And you should do that before desaturating the whole image, so you are going to end up with a black and white image that has the luminance that you want, a little bit more specifically based on colors. So that's why color information is still relevant even if the final result will be in black and white. The next reason for testing the different profiles is dynamic range. We know that the log profile should have the biggest dynamic range, but now I have been shooting for quite a while using the hybrid log gamma HLG2 profile, and it has been really good, both for color and also for dynamic range. That said, we're gonna test S-Log2 and S-Log3 to see how they behave, thinking about that the final product will be black and white. The test will be basically this very same scene being shot in the different profiles. And what I'm gonna do now is let you know my assumptions of what might happen. Then we're gonna have a break here. I'm gonna put all the footage in the computer, take a look at it, and then later or some other day, we're gonna be shooting the second part of the video where we actually analyze the differences and we pick which picture profile are we going to be using in our next short film. My first assumption is that S-Log3 should be good. I know that the recommendation has been to not use S-Log3 with these hybrid mirrorless cameras because of the 8-bit codec that tends to fall apart when color grading, but S-Log3 should be the one that has the most dynamic range. If we want to crash the shadows or we want to blow up something, it's possible, but hopefully we will retain the maximum amount of detail in both highlight and shadows. The same applies with S-Log2, except that S-Log2 is a little bit more commonly used in mirrorless cameras. And now I'm talking about the a6400 or the a7 III, which are, by the way, the two cameras that we might be using for the short film, even if I'm testing this in the a6400. So let's see how S-Log2 behaves. And then the third profile will be HLG2. As I mentioned, it's probably my favorite profile to shoot right now. It gives me enough room to color grade, it gives me enough dynamic range, and at the same time, it's still easy to color grade. So that's why it's been my favorite. My expectation is that will be the least favorite of the three for having an output in black and white. But let's see. So let's hop to it, let's hop to the test, and we'll see you soon for some conclusions. Alright, now we're back and we can take a look at the results. Let me start by saying that S-Log2 seems to be my favorite one and the one chosen, but let's take a look at why is that so. To start from, I did a really quick grade, and even I was talking before about the hue versus luminance curves. In this case, for this test, I'm just gonna desaturate the image, then I'm gonna put the black point and white point to the peaks, and after that I'm gonna set the contrast as I would like to have the final image. Here I'm going mostly towards the low-key look, which means that the image is going to be mostly dark, and even if I'm going to keep the highlights as high as they are supposed to be, the rest of the image, and including the midtones, will be on the dark side. And when trying to push the image towards the low-key look is when I started noticing the difference between the profiles. HLG2 was a little bit more difficult, and it seemed to be providing a bit less flexibility to when it came to playing with the different levels of luminance. Probably due that it has a little bit less dynamic range. Still would work nicely, but I feel that the log profiles are going to be more useful for this use case. Then when comparing the two log profiles, S-Log3 was the only one of the three profiles actually that had the full usable dynamic range. HLG2 and S-Log2 both had some troubles with the highlights, meaning that there were some reflections, for instance, on the coffee cup or in my t-shirt with the heads of the stormtroopers, and those were clipping in HLG2 and S-Log2. I know that I could have fixed that by fixing the camera exposure, but I was trying the different profiles using exactly the same exposure settings in camera. With all that said, if we discard HLG2 because of being a bit less flexible from the luminance perspective and focusing on the log profiles, which of the two would I go with? Well, S-Log3, even if having the most dynamic range, it started to have a big problem in my opinion. especially in the areas where we have a flat, solid color. Banding started to appear when I was pushing the image a little bit more. I wasn't sure how it's going to behave in black and white, since I know that because of the 8-bit codec and the lack of color information, S-Log3 tends to break apart when heavily color grading it, but now I'm kind of grading it without the color, so I wasn't sure what is going to happen, but the banding appears, and that did not appear in S-Log2 or in HLG2. So in conclusion, discarding HLG2 because it felt a bit less flexible, S-Log2 gives me almost as much dynamic range as S-Log3, and it doesn't seem to break apart and cause banding issues. So that's going to be the one chosen for our short film that's going to be in black and white. Alright, that's all for today. I hope you liked the video and hopefully you learned something new as well. If you did, please like and subscribe and let me know if you found some surprises in today's video. And we'll see you next time for some more content.